Hi guys, and welcome to the first ever edition of We Do Not Need Roads. My name is Chris, and right beside me, but across the other side of the country, is my mate Bryan. How you doing, Bryan?
Hey Chris, I'm all good, mate, all good.
Good. So guys, we have 4 topics today. Bryan, we are going to go straight into topic 1 today, which is gaming. Now, this is very, very prestigious. Not only are we on our first ever episode, we actually have our first ever in-house guest as well. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and the only Peter PNXtech.
Clearly I'm not on cam because I'm too ugly and I'll break it.
We have our first guest, and one of the good things about actually having a guest here is, like, me and Bryan, we're very similar in age. We're very similar in our ideals of things. Wouldn't you agree, Bryan?
Yeah, we have similar interests, similar gaming history, similar entertainment history, favourite programme, show like that.
So it's good to have a slightly younger and different approach on the topics that we're going to be talking about today. So thank you very much for joining us, Pete.
I'm not that much younger.
Well,
but thank you.
You are.
I am definitely more baby-faced, that's for damn sure.
Well, I don't know, with this stubble you've got going.
Yeah, with the stubble.
You need to have a shave. But, you know, my mate Bryan's not really one to talk there.
Mine is a beard, it is fully grown. I've had it now since the start of lockdown. It's not going anywhere. It's this that needs sorting.
Yeah.
I should have got keeps. Should have got some keeps.
Yeah. Right.
Hashtag
So our first topic is gaming, and I want to start off with some great news that Bryan has told me yesterday, actually, and that's about the Nintendo Switch and their plans to bring the Sega Mega Drive and N64 games to the Switch.
Yeah, they're bringing over, much like the SNES and NES collections they've got on there. I think it's going to cost a little bit more. It's going to be an extra on top of your yearly subscription. So a bunch of N64 games and, surprisingly, Mega Drive games. And the fact that they're re-releasing the controllers as well means we're going to have an official Mega Drive controller made by Nintendo. And if you'd have told 10-year-old me that...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. They'll probably change the pricing of the annual subscription, because that's how they do the current Nintendo retro games, isn't it? Like, so it's part of the online service. So I reckon they'll probably just bump it up a little bit, just because it's not terribly expensive as it is for an annual. I think what it is, like 25 quid for a family thing, which is like, if I remember correct.
See, that was one of the reasons I wanted the Switch, was Caden to play with to play Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, all that stuff, the Pokemon games that were on there, and I was just like, I just want to play some Nintendo games that on a bad emulator.
Yeah,
they've changed that. So Chris has just pulled up the pricing, but it used to be only up to 5 members, so they've changed that family pricing as it is. But it's for a single person, it's 18 quid a year.
Yeah.
For all of those retro games as it is. So I reckon they might probably put it up to maybe 20 quid, and then they'll include those games as part and parcel of the online subscription that you have. Maybe we'll see. See what news comes out on that one.
Yeah, like we all we can do is sit here and wait, really, for Nintendo to go, this is actually what's going to happen. But you know, even the family membership at $31.50 isn't actually that
considering
bad.
It's up to 8 people.
Yeah, like you can have eight accounts.
What's that divided by 8? And it's like 4 quid each.
Yeah, it's nothing really when you think about it.
Well, Ultimate Games Pass is £11 a month,
and that's per person as well.
Yeah. So for this is just. I think I was hoping one day they'd release the N64 Classic, but I don't think it'd be cost effective for Nintendo to put out a micro console that needs 4 controller ports and then all the ROMs on top on the game. So this is the next best thing. I wasn't a big N64 gamer. I never owned that console, never played much of it other than Mario Kart, I think.
I never owned an N64, but one of the people I lived with brought an N64 years and years ago, and I think like Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye. I think they're the only games I ever really played on 64.
Pokemon Arena.
Oh yes, is that the one where you could drive around and take photos?
That's Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, that's
Pokemon Snap. Now I played that one. I actually liked that one. I thought that one was quite good.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It wasn't really. I was much more into the battling with the Pokemon Arena stuff, but
yeah,
I think everyone wanted a Pokemon game, what you got on the Game Boy on the N64,
would have been
and
much
everyone
better.
wanted that on the GameCube as well, and he never did it.
No.
And then and the same on the Wii and the Wii U, and now it's on the Switch, obviously, because that's their handheld home console. But the Pokemon Arena Stadium ones were brilliant if you had a Game Boy with your Pokemon, because you could pop it, connect it up, couldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there was a way of doing that. But yeah, it just seems like Nintendo whilst their online service isn't brilliant in terms of like multiplayer, making it hard to just chat to people, at least they're pumping out the games. I just hope that they don't take forever to release more games for it. It's like we're going to announce 8 games to start with, and then you'll get another 8 games over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Let's see some announcements of when games are coming, how regular these games are going to be coming. And I've noticed there's going to be some of the Rare games on there, like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that, made by Rare, who are owned by Microsoft now.
See, and again, that's another thing. I've noticed more and more Microsoft seem to be going, we've got Xbox Games Pass and Ultimate Games Pass, which you can use on your Xbox, you can use on your PC, you can now use on practically any device that connects to the internet, whether it's a $50 tablet or an iPad iPad Pro Max. We need to actually start collaborating with other people. We need to bridge the gaps between us and other people now. If we own the rights to some game and Nintendo or Sony or whoever wants to start using it, let's start bridging that gap, because I've noticed that there's been games in the last year that Microsoft own the rights to, but they're still not handing over the rights, that's the wrong words, but they're giving permission for Microsoft and other people to release that gap, not Microsoft, Sony, to release their games on their platform. Now I know it's a common thing, but Microsoft have always been, this is a Microsoft, this is an Xbox exclusive, we are not sharing it. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing about games that are or were Xbox exclusives now being able to play on the PlayStation and and the Switch and whatnot.
Going the opposite way round now, I was quite surprised that the show, the PlayStation baseball game, was a day one release on Games Pass.
Yeah.
And it was really weird booting up the Xbox, downloading that. I mean, I'm not a big sports games fan, but I thought, I'm going to try this. It looks good. And boot up the Xbox, download it, log in, and it comes up Sony Entertainment. I was just like,
what?
I think that was one of the first things that Sony sort of actually caved in to actually letting go, because Sony obviously have been massive sort of, no, we're not sharing, we're not doing any sort of like cross-platform, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Whereas Microsoft and Nintendo and all the other places, so Steam, Epic, they all want to do that cross-platform play.
Yeah.
And obviously just being able to do that, they've just made it so much easier. And now Sony are actually sort of getting on board with it a bit more. It doesn't really, it's sort of broken that whole age-old debacle of which console are you on?
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter anymore.
No, I think games like Rocket League, Fortnite, the ones that everyone's playing, that they want to play with the friend, like especially like Caden's age, 10, 11. They're playing Rocket League, they're playing Fortnite, and they want to play with their friends. It makes sense for the companies to be like, we're going to play nice. We're gonna let cross-play happen, because they're the ones making the money off it.
Yeah, because all it matters is then is like sort of like the microtransactions for them afterwards, because that's what will really bring in their money. Because like well, we won't talk about EA and their microtransactions, but obviously the whole microtransaction thing, obviously that is a big sore subject for parents, because obviously it's one of those things that initially people weren't on the hot on, and it was like parents were being given 200, 300 quid credit card bills because they didn't realise their kids were doing this all like in-game purchasing, because they thought, oh, they've got the game, that's all they've got, that doesn't matter, there's nothing else. And then all of a sudden there's this like £300 credit card bill.
I can actually not talk from personal experience, but a friend of mine had the exact same thing. They let their kid on, I think it wasn't an iPad, but it was some form of tablet device, Microsoft Surface or whatever it was, and didn't think of anything of it. His son was like, oh, dad, I've just got this. He's like, oh yeah, okay, fine, cool, go play. And it came to like the next month, and he got his credit card bill, and his credit card was maxed out, and he was like, what? Like,
how did this happen?
He said to me, he's like, it's not even like it's a small, amount on the credit card. It's, if I was to say, it's almost platinum.
Yeah.
Like it, and he's like, what? And yeah, it turned out his son was microtransaction, and it was one of those free games where you you get an advert every 5 levels or whatever, and it says like, get more levels or get more gold if you press this button. He's just been pressing it like 5 quid at a time, 5 quid at a time, 5 quid at a time.
Important safety tip: 2-tier authorization.
Precisely.
Or parental controls.
Yeah, parental controls.
I think as a parent, if you're not monitoring what your kids are playing, and I don't mean you sat over the shoulder looking at them the whole time, but if you're not just monitoring the gaming habits, and you have everything set up so you can control it, then that's part of being a parent in the 21st century when it comes to letting your kids. It's not like when we were kids and it's like we go Blockbuster, we rent a game, we come home, we play the game. The worst that can happen is we damage the game, or we are like taking it back, and we get charges. These days, if you leave your bank details logged into anything, and I've had it with my lad buying Robux. Luckily, only £4 worth. My phone dinged at like 7:30 in the morning. Bank transaction. I was like, "Hey up, what's this?"
Yeah.
Right, 2-tier authorization.
That's one of the things that I love about now, the whole parental controls that Microsoft have put in with on their PC stuff, where you as long as you know how to set it up, you can sort of restrict on any sort of transaction. They have to ask permission. Same with the Google Family Link for the tablets and stuff like that. It just gives you that added bonus. I'm not sure what the Apple version of it is, because I don't use Apple products.
Yeah,
but
so like all three of us are actually in quite different ecosystems when it comes to technology. So you two are very similar because you both got Xboxes. Me and Brian,
mine broke.
Well, okay. We won't go into that sore subject. I'm sorry, Pete. I'm sorry.
Don't upset him, Chris. Come on.
All three of us have Switches. Obviously, all three of us have PCs. So we all have that in common. But Pete is very much Android and Microsoft technology, portable technology wise. Brian, I know you're very much Android with tablets and phones and things like that. I know you've got a lot more experience in Android than I could ever wish to accomplish. And obviously here, we are all very Apple. We are in the Apple Apple ecosystem, without a shadow of a doubt.
You're stuck in that. You're never getting out.
I
They've got their grips in you.
And that's the thing. I don't want to get out of it.
That's exactly. You just have your preferences. You have what you like and what you know.
Well, we were literally having this conversation at work a couple of weeks ago with a couple of other people, and me and one of the young ladies at work. We're our families are all in for the Apple ecosystem, and me and Tanya have tried it before. We went from Apple devices and we went to the HTC One and hated the whole 24 months later. Literally hated every single thing about it. It was slow, it was unresponsive, videos weren't playing properly, and for me and for Tanya especially, at that point we were like, we're going back to Apple. There is no if, buts or maybes about it.
See, that could have just been a bad Android phone. I've never used a H.
Yeah.
I'm on a Samsung at the minute, and it's okay for certain things, and it does what I need it to do. Caden's got his tablet, Android, and that, and he got his first mobile phone, and all the parental stuff set up on that, and that's good enough for him. He's a bit disappointed it won't run Pokemon Go, but it's a £30 smartphone, so it's not going to do everything, but it's a good starter phone. Learn the responsibility of it. And like you say, once you're in an ecosystem, once you've got everything set up the way you want, you get a new device, you can literally press a couple of buttons, everything transfers over, and it's done.
Precisely. But what I was trying to get to was Apple have a really, really good two-factor authentication system with their devices. So not only do you need to have, depending on your device, your thumbprint or your face, if you don't know it, you then have to put in your PIN, which, to be fair, all of our kids know, apart from on my phone and Tanya's phone, the iPads, the kids know the PIN password. But then you have to put your password, your actual Apple ID password in. So there's 3 layers that the kids would have to crack before they could get into being able to buy something. Whereas if I want to buy something on my phone, it'll recognise my face, and then it'll just go straight through because it's recognised my face. Personally, big Apple fan. I know Bryan, like I said, you're happy with what you got. Pete is happy with what he's got, so happy days. Right, gentlemen, should we move on to topic 2?
TV shows. TV shows of the past.
TV shows of the past. Now,
I got a good one to start off with.
Go on.
It incorporates a few shows.
Right.
If you remember, BBC 2, 6 o'clock, before they got The Simpsons.
Right.
It was Fresh Prince.
Yep.
Followed by Star Trek.
Yep.
And then later on in the evening, only on a Thursday or a Friday, Red Dwarf.
Oh yes.
Now I wanted to talk about Red Dwarf because that's one of my favourite shows. It's still carrying on now, not as good quality, obviously, but we can come back to that. What about you guys?
Well, so the preset on the run sheet we've got for this is 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. Now, I know for a fact none of us were born in the 60s or 70s.
Heck no.
But I have a real affiliation and a real love for older TV shows. Like, I think it's like because of the way my parents sort of brought me up in, like, this was a really good show 20 years ago. And like whenever it was rerun on telly, they were always like, "Oh yeah, you got to watch this. You got to watch this."
See, that's how I got into Star Trek. My mum used to say, "Watch this, watch this, watch this," and I think it was on like Sky One on a Saturday or something, just after SmackDown or something.
Yeah.
Or Superstars or whatever it was back then. And I watched a couple of episodes and couldn't get into it.
No.
And then there was the triple episode. And that was it. Then I was kind of hooked. But I was always confused because I'd see videos in the shop for Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I hadn't watched any of that yet. So I was like, what? No, my parents were the exact same.
Yeah.
Exact same. It was like an old Western show my mum used to like and stuff like that. But it was always her saying, you should watch this because this is good.
Yeah, so like for me, things like The $1 Million Man. I absolutely love that TV show. Like it was, for me, that was prime time viewing. At like 7, 8 years old, I was like, they did what with a man? He had an accident and they rebuilt him? What?
Never watched it.
And the thing is, like, there'll be TV shows that I really hate or I really enjoyed that I know for a fact neither of you two would have watched in any way, shape or form. Or you might have watched them, but there's the cult classic TV shows from the 60s, 70s and 80s. For me, was the best, obviously not graphically wise, but storytelling wise, was the best I had ever seen.
Twilight Zone was a good one. The original Twilight Zone.
The original black and white Twilight Zone, amazing.
Another one that didn't have a high budget, other than the odd special effects shot, was Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
That was, it was very rare they had a big spectacular episode. It was the story.
Well,
I remember watching some of that. I'm going to show my ignorance here.
The thing is with Quantum Leap is they actually, I remember reading somewhere about it, is they actually blew 3/4 of the budget for the whole season on the first episode because it was all in the future.
Yeah, most of it was in the future. I mean, most of the blue screen does not hold up.
No.
When Al's walking through stuff and that, it's obvious it's a TV budget.
Yeah.
But it's about the story. And if you can look past the budgets on a lot of old shows, the story, the characters, everything comes through. Doctor Who, another one. Look past the bad special effects, the fact that they knock into a wall and the whole thing nearly falls down on top of them.
Yeah.
Or things in the background. If you notice when we were recording a lot of old TV shows, any flame, any candles or fires looked well off because the cameras were picking it up a certain way or it was being broadcast a certain way.
Yeah.
But again, it's like if you can look past the bad, the special effects at the time. Because let's face it, some TV shows from 10 years ago, the special effects don't hold up. You look at Smallville and stuff like that, and you're like, oh god.
It just shows to show on how things have moved on, like with regards to like PCs and just visual effects in that regard. Because like back then, it was a lot more compute that was needed, but just wasn't available, and so therefore they just were limited on what compute power they had.
Yeah, definitely.
You can get video effects programs now to use on your home PC and knock up something better than they could 10 years ago, easily.
Exactly,
you see YouTubers doing it, doing 3D animation and all kinds of stuff, and it's better than what they had. But again, like it says, that's just technology moving forward, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So the shows that I remember as a kid, like proper shows, was Knight Rider.
Oh yeah.
Classic.
Proper Knight Rider.
Yeah.
And the A-Team.
Oh, the A-Team. They shot so many people and there was never any blood.
Yeah.
Exactly. But then going to like proper kids stuff, kid stuff. The original Thunderbirds and original Stingray.
Yeah, see, you cannot go wrong. I've caught Finley now watching Thunderbirds, Stingray, Captain Scarlet.
That's the other one, yeah.
What was the other one he was watching? He was watching a trailer for... Round the Twist. Who remembers Round the Twist?
I do.
I remember the theme song, and just like every episode is like some random adventure that the kids or the parents would get themselves into, and none of it would make any sense.
Precisely.
What? The theme song was kicking.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, like you could not walk around my school when I was at school without someone humming the theme tune to Round the Twist. Because it would get stuck in everyone's head.
Proper earworm.
Yeah. So on to category number 3, which we have designated as movies, but we are going to do upcoming movies and TV shows.
I was thinking about starting. The biggest movies at the minute seem to be the Marvel ones. That
Of course, yeah.
each one comes out and it's just like boom, boom, boom. I still haven't seen Shang-Chi yet.
It's good.
That right, but we got Venom: Let There Be Carnage coming out.
Yeah.
I think that's out tomorrow, October 1st.
Yeah.
So September 30th when we're recording this. Obviously, we got the Spider-Man movie coming out, and there's so many rumours circulating about that.
So many.
I was just going to say, the thing with the Spider-Man movie is, I think you've got to give props to Tom Holland. You know, he has absolutely kept the lid on it this time. You know, he's not let anything really slip. You know, with the Avengers movie,
Does make a change.
Yeah, I was going to say, with like the Civil War and with other Spider-Man movies and the Avengers movies that he was in, he let little things slip. Now he has seemed to have got everything sort of locked down.
He's not as bad as Mark Ruffalo though. He live streamed the opening 15 minutes of Thor Ragnarok from his phone in the cinema.
Did you hear what what's his name? Kevin Feige said to him afterwards.
What?
So he came the next day. Kevin picks up his phone, rings Mark. Mark sees it and he's like, I'm going to get the biggest bollocking. That's it. I'm fired. They're going to get someone else to play Hulk. I'm fucked. Hi, Kevin. And Kevin's like, that was fucking genius. You got me more publicity from live streaming the first 15 minutes. It was in his pocket. No one could see anything. They could only hear it. And all they could hear was freaking laughter. You got me more publicity from that 15 minutes of live streaming than I could have paid for. So, yeah, like, Mark Ruffalo absolutely did him a solid with Thor Ragnarok. Lots of upcoming movies that have come out this year or are planning to come out have obviously been, a lot of it's been delayed. You know, I was
Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's the one that I was like, okay, I can understand why they want to wait for a cinema release for something that big.
Yeah.
But as a Ghostbusters fan, it's like, okay, we've waited since like 89.
Yeah.
Since Ghostbusters 2. Don't count the remake, the reboot, whatever that was in 2016. Although it's a good movie, it's not a good Ghostbusters movie.
No, it's a good movie, and
comedic. Really.
I to this day stand by the theory that it's in a parallel universe.
Oh yeah.
It's not in the Ghostbusters universe in any way, shape, or form. It can't be, because 3 of the Ghostbusters made cameos in that movie as completely different people.
Yeah, it was enjoyable for what it was, but it wasn't a Ghostbusters movie. So for them to put Ghostbusters Afterlife back a year means they can probably do last minute editing, tighten it up, get the special effects looking absolutely. I mean, in the first trailer, the special effects look pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and for I can't see the special effects changing for things like the proton packs and stuff, because it looked great in the original. The same effect will look great now.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that it does lead to a new generation of fans discovering these films.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, you cannot, for me, for you, Brian, I should imagine for you, Pete, as well, you know, watching the first and the second Ghostbusters movie when they originally came out, I was, the first one, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, there's people running around New York City shooting ghosts. Like, this is a pretty good film. I like this. But for me, the pinnacle was number 2. Number 2. Don't get me wrong. Number 1, amazing film. You know, it led the franchise. If we didn't have the first film, we wouldn't have had the cartoon series. You wouldn't have had all of the Hasbro toys that came out and everything else that came with it. But for me, storyline wise, the second movie was better.
See, I have a problem with that. I have a difference of opinion on that, because Ghostbusters 2 suffers from what most 80s, early 90s film sequels suffered from, which is at the start of the sequel, we've got to put everything back to how it was at the beginning of the first one. So in Ghostbusters 2, you have Peter and Dana are no longer together. The Ghostbusters aren't in business anymore, and it's all about getting back to what we knew at the end of the first film. I think Back to the Future 2 avoids that a little bit, but there's a lot of films where Look Who's Talking, and Look Who's Talking 2. They split up the John Travolta and Kirstie Alley characters in the second one to get them doing that love-hate thing that all rom-coms do and stuff. And Ghostbusters 2, it pretty much is beat for beat the same as the first. I don't think the jokes hit as good in the second one. I love the Dancing Toaster. Absolutely love the Dancing Toaster. I just think the second one was trying to be too much like the cartoon without saying we're going to be like the cartoon. The Ghostbusters don't smoke, they don't swear, and it was a missed opportunity, I felt. But it is still a good film. It's, like I say, I just think it suffered from that 80s 90s thing of let's just reset everything so we can tell the same story again in a different way.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that argument. I'll give you that they did have they basically had to reboot the first movie to a degree to make the second one. But I personally think Vigo, better bad guy.
Oh yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt. A woman, regardless of who she was meant to be portraying, a woman standing on a pillar in a onesie, scared the crap out of me as a kid. But now as an adult, I'm just like, you're just a messed up Russian woman.
Gozer was nothing. The terror dogs were more intimidating than Gozer. The Marshmallow Man was more intimidating than Gozer.
Yeah.
But Vigo was a definitely better villain with clearer motivations.
Yeah.
And the Janos, the Dana's boss.
Yeah.
When he turns into the creepy nanny to come steal the kid.
Yeah.
That's creepy as fuck, that bit. When you're like, I think I would have been about 8, 9 when I first seen that.
I think I was 9 when I first saw it, 8 or 9. Actually, it was one of the movies my dad took me to go and see at the cinema on where I grew up, and that scene did mess me up. Honest to God, that scene messed me up for a good couple of months. Like, I wouldn't sleep with my window open. Like, if we had a tree out the front of our garden, if it bashed against the window, that was it. I was out of bed and I was downstairs. There is something outside my bedroom window. What is going on? Blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. Me personally, I just find Ghostbusters 2 more enjoyable. I find Back to the Future 3 more enjoyable than the second one.
That's where I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Back to the Future 1, almost a perfect film.
I was going to say Back to the Future 1, nigh on perfect.
Yeah.
2.
So we ruined it with 2.
Yeah, well, I think the mistake they admit the mistake they made was there was never going to be a sequel. The flying car was meant to be a joke. But then when they started work on the sequel, it's like, what do we do with the girlfriend? Everyone wants to see Doc and Marty. You don't want to see Doc, Marty, and Jennifer.
No.
And it was overcomplicated. I'm still trying to explain it to my mum now, 30 years later. And Free's just this. It's a western, with sci-fi elements. It's got little cameos from famous western actors. It's got all the tropes of the western, and it's really fun. It's an adventure film. It's a fun film. Doc gets a love story.
Yeah.
Doc gets the love story. And my favourite scene in that is where Doc's explaining to him about the tombstone, and Marty goes, "Great Scott." And Doc replies with, "I know this is heavy." And that was just like hysterics.
Yeah.
Hysterics. And Infinity War and Endgame, I wanted to take Cade in the cinema to see them.
Yeah. And
couldn't afford it at the time Infinity War came out.
Yeah.
But we went to see Endgame at the cinema. And I'm very, very glad that we did, because that was an experience. And I look for these films that are going to be movie experiences. The Matrix is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's going to be one of them. Even the next animated Spider-Man, because that Into the Spider-Verse was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse too, yeah.
But yeah, Into Spider-Verse 2. I've actually got Google up for films for 2022. Just like it's almost like we're reliving the late 90s, early 2000s, because we've got Batman, the new Batman that's coming out, and to be fair, I'm actually pretty psyched for it.
I from what I understand as well, this one's actually meant to be a lot darker than any of the other new remakes. So even the Christian Bale one,
apparently,
which was quite dark as well. It's meant to be darker than that.
Yeah, from what I've heard, this new one puts Christian Bale's look like he's wearing a fucking white batsuit. It's so like
the Riddler's meant to be like a serial killer type character. It looks good. It looks grounded like the Christian Bale ones were.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like take that darker edge to it, because it's his second year of being Batman. Start of his second year of being Batman, so he's not well known, which is always good. And there's that air of mystery around Batman when the criminals don't know who he is, when the criminals are scared, because that's what Batman, why he dresses up like the Bat, isn't it? To scare them.
So the next ones that I'm looking forward to be fair, is probably the Eternals.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that, but only because I want to. From the trailers, obviously they've been around for like 7,000 years.
Yeah,
and I want to know what they were doing.
So from what Brian, I don't know if you've seen the trailer for Eternals yet. So I
hear they mention the Avengers, don't they?
Yeah.
Talk about them.
So basically, in the trailer, they say, someone says, like, where have you been? Like, why did you not help with Thanos? Why did you not help with this, and this? And they basically go, we were told not to.
And yeah.
The only thing they're allowed to interfere with is anything that deals with
the deviants.
Yeah, I've seen that trailer.
Yeah. So for me, that I'm literally getting like
opens up.
Brian, Pete can confirm. I'm actually getting goosebumps just talking about it.
But it just opens up a whole new can of worms. Like I'm just watching the What If stuff.
Yeah.
With my son, and it just opens up a whole massive can of worms on alternate realities and the whole. But I think they've done it very cleverly with the whole sort of going into the multiverse with the whole Miles Morales from the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, bringing that into it first so that they could sort of incorporate the Sony side of things.
Yeah.
Then with the whole multiversal bit with Loki.
Yeah.
That and then the way that they've just sort of then moving on to the multiverse of madness for Doctor Strange and coming up. We've got No Way Home with.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got No Way Home first, which I think is going to be the catalyst movie for the multiverse. I don't think it was the original point. I personally feel, and I may completely regret this at a later date. I feel that when Wanda became Scarlet Witch, that was the original catalyst for the multiverse.
I'm not sure, and from what I actually understand, I believe the Multiverse of Madness was meant to come out before No Way Home.
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah.
So, but also if you've watched WandaVision, obviously if you look at what they've done there with that linking in, I sort of would happen to agree with the whole sort of Wanda being the whole Scarlet Witch catalyst of the
nexus point
stuff and the
multiverse, because if you look, we got WandaVision first, and at the end of Loki, with Kang, saying there's multiple of me.
By the way, spoiler alerts if you haven't watched
Oh come on, if you are watching this in October 2021 and you've not seen WandaVision or Loki, shame on you.
To be fair, I haven't finished watching WandaVision. I'm in the process of finishing it right now.
WandaVision was just, I think, the perfect way to kickstart the Disney Plus TV.
TV
shows. It's the movie split into like 6 to 10 parts, isn't it, depending on the show?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for me, the first couple of episodes just didn't grab me, so therefore I was just like, nah, it's not for me. So, but then I was just like, okay, well, there's bits here that I need to watch because it's linked in, and so I've like just gone back to watch WandaVision.
See, that's where me and Brian, I know this is where me and Brian differ, because the first 2 episodes were in black and white. Me and Brian watched the first 2 episodes and went, it's in black and white, so what?
No, it wasn't the fact that it was in black and white. It was more the fact that it was in the 50s style.
Again, that doesn't bother me. I grew up with my parents pretty much force feeding me Bewitched and freaking all those other 50s and 60s American TV shows.
Oh no, I did as well, but it was one of those things where it just felt like it didn't feel right. It just didn't. It was just like for that type of show and for those characters, it just didn't grab me because it just, although those sorts of shows were funny and hilarious and whatever, those characters in that sort of setting just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, because it's come after the films, and obviously what happened to Vision at the end of Infinity War and stuff. You want to get cut to the chase, don't you? You want to see what the story is, not like the build up. The build up's important, but it's like you just want to get to that point of, I want to see what these characters are doing now. And obviously with Wanda doing the sitcom stuff, I think which episode are you up to, Pete?
7. So it's just, I think it's 7. She's so like Maria Rambo's just come out and worked out that they could send in a drone that's from that era.
Right, yeah.
And I've just watched that episode.
It's episode 4, I think it is, where it shows you Monica coming back from the snap.
Yes.
And it explains everything a bit more. That's where I know Caden got really invested in it, because he's like, oh, now it's more he wants to watch.
Yeah.
I think it was good to start off with. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, carrying on that story and setting up for Cap 4.
Yeah, again, personally, it was good, don't get me wrong. But again, I just think it was a list. There was no sort of, unlike a lot of the other Marvel content that we've watched with that, it was very serious. It was too serious in my liking. It's sort of DC sort of level serious. Whereas like WandaVision and Loki, what's the other one?
What If?
Yeah, and What If? They've got more comedic, Marvel traditional style.
Yeah, and they've got more comedic elements to them.
I'd say Loki's the one that is most MCU.
Yes. Yeah.
The tone of the MCU, it's Loki. It's just like every time Loki falls and hits the deck, he gets up the same way as he did in
Infinity
Thor
War.
Ragnarok.
Oh,
After the fall for 30 minutes, he does that head tilt, flicks the hair back. It opens up the doorway, and when you've got Sony making their own stuff, that's linked in because they've got that vampire movie, Morbius.
We've got Morbius coming out next year,
which has Vulture in it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So is that MCU? Is it not? Because in the background of one of their trailers, it has Spider-Man saying, murderer, but it's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I believe it is still MCU. From the whole phase listing, Morbius was listed on that.
Yeah, as MCU,
as an MCU thing.
I cannot. As soon as I saw the first Sonic movie and how well they had done it after they had changed the design of Sonic.
I think that was a publicity stunt.
Really?
I do.
I have no idea. All I know is I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I am a massive Sonic fan. One of the first real console games I ever played properly, apart from Alex the Kid in Miracle World, was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
On a console. Not PC, because I'd played a lot of PC games prior to that, but first proper console game I played was Alex Kidd in Miracle World and then Sonic the Hedgehog, because they were the two games that I had. Brian, your thoughts on the first and the upcoming Sonic movies?
I agree with Pete in some respects that I think that when they released the first trailer, I think they wanted to delay the movie, but they couldn't think of a reason to delay the movie. Because, you've got investors, you've got people putting money in, you've got advertisers, merchandise deals all going ahead. So they release it with this god-awful, nightmare-fueled Sonic the Hedgehog. And everyone's like, oh, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, get on everything. We got to change this, change it. And they're like, oh, thank Christ, we can change it now. Oh, brilliant, we can change it. We're going to delay the movie by 6 months while we update the CGI. And then they release the next trailer with the new look Sonic, and it's like, fantastic. I like the Easter eggs in the first one. I like the music in the first one. There's like piano versions of the Mega Drive games and stuff like that. Little things like the sign saying Hilltop and all this stuff. It all named after zones.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that at the end he's beating Robotnik by doing a spin dash into his spaceship. Now, if he'd have done it, only hit it 8 times, that'd have been a perfect Easter egg.
Yeah.
But no, the first one was great. Jim Carrey was great.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey was absolutely brilliant. And that end bit where he looks like Robotnik does in the games.
On the Mushroom Planet.
On the Mushroom Planet. Fantastic. And it set up the sequel perfectly with Tails popping through.
I also love the fact that they actually stuck with the name Robotnik, the original name.
Yes.
Because I hated the fact they changed it to Dr. Eggman like further down the line, and it just was like, and then no, it was just wrong. It was always Robotnik, and then whenever I said Robotnik to people, they were like, "Who?" And I was just like, "Dr. Robotnik, the bad guy. You mean Eggman?" It's like, no.
Yeah, I like how in the movie they had his little drones be egg shaped, so Sonic called him Eggman. So that's like, okay, you've got that in there, but keep it as Robotnik. The sequel, bringing Knuckles in, bringing Tails in, brilliant. I think it's going to have more to do with Sonic's backstory, how he got the super speed. So it's going to have probably the Chaos Emeralds in there somewhere. We might get to see Super Sonic. I'm hoping they don't bring Amy in as a character. I don't think Sonic needs a love interest.
I don't think so. I think they were going to see how this one goes with having Knuckles and Tails in, and then if this one is a smash, which I reckon it will be, because it's. I mean, my boys already want to see it. They've been pestering me since they saw the first one. Well, is there another one? When's the next one coming?
Yeah.
So I don't know when it's coming out yet because they haven't even told us.
No.
So I think. Depending on how it will fare and how much money it will generate will depend on how many of the characters that they then continue, if at all. But I mean, the main ones that I think that they should bring in at some point is obviously Shadow and Silver.
Yeah.
But Amy and the crew, I'm not so certain that they should be in it.
No.
I think we might get Metal Sonic in this next one as a villain.
Possibly, yeah.
But thinking from what I've read and stuff like that, it looks like Knuckles it's like the games. Knuckles is tricked by Robotnik to helping him, and then learns the error of his ways.
So yeah, obviously, like I'm really excited about Sonic 2 coming out. The franchise, I really want them to just go stop, just no more. And I know this is going to really annoy Brian to a degree, is Indiana Jones.
No, I agree with you. Because 1, 2, and 3, perfect.
But if they'd have left it at 1, 2, and 3...
To this day, I still have not watched 4.
There's one little bit, one tiny little bit, that made me go, ooh! And it's right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was like, it's the thing I hate in it, Shia LaBeouf.
Mm-hmm.
I just, no.
If he hadn't, to be fair, right, if he hadn't have gone batshit crazy and got himself banned from Hollywood, yeah, I think he could have been a good replacement as a young Indiana Jones. the next generation, going in from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I reckon it could have worked. But now he's just fucked it up for everybody. Because Harrison Ford's like, well, we need to do another one. Because we need to make money. Because I don't get enough for
think
it.
he just wants. It'll be like Star Wars.
Yeah.
He'll do this next Indiana Jones one on the condition that they kill him off.
Yeah.
One movie franchise they need to knock on the head.
Go on.
Fast and the Furious.
I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for you to say that.
I like the first few, and then after that, when cars are going to space, and
I watched number 1. I watched number 2. I didn't watch Tokyo Drift. What was the first one The Rock was in?
I don't know.
6, I think.
Right, I've seen that one because to this day,
6 and 7.
the line at the end where he walks in and who is it? One of the black guys. I can't think of his name. The bald guy.
Tyrese. It's Tyrese Gibson, but it's I can't. Roman Pierce.
Roman Pierce. When Roman Pierce goes, "Careful, everybody! Hide your baby lotion." He's like, "You better hide that big fat forehead." And is it who is it? The other black guy, literally, because ludicrous because it wasn't a scripted line.
No.
Spits his water.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It was an actual spit thing. And it was just like...
Actually, that is the only thing in that entire film I remember.
Proper, genuine sort of spit take.
But I watched 1, I watched 2. I refused to watch Tokyo Drift because I was like, what the fuck? And then I refused to watch any more apart from that one that had The Rock in, because I wanted to see how good his acting was. It was shit. Sorry, Dwayne, but it was shit. But yeah, completely agree. Fast and Furious, knock it on the head. Don't have any spin-offs. Stop.
It's already got spin-offs.
Yeah,
on Netflix.
Yeah, I know.
Kids stuff.
Don't have any more spin-offs. Just knock it on the head. Leave it.
One film that recently got announced, as in the cast list got announced, Super Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Yes,
so...
they did. There was a big tweet about that, wasn't there, with the actual sort of like stupid costumes.
So
let me just go to the IMDb for this.
I got a theory how it's going to start.
Go on.
You're gonna hear the "It's a me, Mario" goes into his Chris Pratt voice.
Yeah.
I don't understand that they're doing a Mario's 100% CGI Mario animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
Done by Illumination, guys who Despicable Me and the Minions.
Yeah.
Why not just get the video game cast?
Precisely. You wouldn't spend as much money either.
Wouldn't spend as much money. I'd be more true to the games.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be like the Bob Hoskins.
No.
The Bob Hoskins one from the very first ever video game movie.
Yeah.
That's not a great Mario movie. It's a great cyberpunk dystopian alternative universe movie, but it's a crap Mario movie.
Yeah.
Apart from the little references. So with this, they could have done this movie and then spun it off into a TV show, Netflix, Amazon, whatever it is. And then they just bring on a cast, and you're thinking, I can't picture Chris Pratt being Mario. No. I can see Jack Black being Bowser.
Like I was gonna say, like out of the whole cast list, the only person who stood out to me, and I was actually there's two people on this cast list that when I saw it, I was like, actually, I can see that working, and that's Jack Black as Bowser and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Those two, I think, are going to make the movie voice-wise.
Well, Seth Rogen is a brilliant Howard the Duck. No, that's not Seth Rogen, is it? That's Seth Green.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
I got mixed up there.
Yeah. But I think Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Jack Black as Bowser is just going to be perfect, without a shadow of a doubt. That does lead us in quite nicely, guys, to topic number 4. Which is random facts and news of what's going on today. So, any random facts or news, guys?
Well, how broken does Games Pass have to be when they announce a game to come out today And as far as I knew, up until 8 o'clock tonight, it still wasn't available to download on your console without having to go through a phone app or the xCloud service. Because they announced Avengers, and then today, all day, waiting for it.
The problem you have, the biggest problem, and this is with all games manufacturers and also TV stuff and whatever, is the fact that it's all released on US time zone. And that is so frustrating, because with game releases such as Destiny 2, my games I play Destiny 2, but the sort of patch times and whatever, 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
My time or our time, and obviously that's basically the UK's gaming day gone by the time that it's actually done, because by the time they've patched it, you're into the early hours of the morning, because they allow 6 or 7 hours or whatever for it. Obviously it doesn't always take that long, but quite often it does. And I think that's the biggest problem, is where it's always on a different time zone. Europe definitely gets the raw deal of releases.
Oh yeah, because I've noticed as well with in-game events for games such as Fortnite, Caitlin will say, well, this is the time of the event.
Yeah, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and if it's a weekend, that's not a problem. And we have an understanding of, if it is on a school night, he can stay up for it, he can do the event. But if he has a bad day in school the next day, if he has a cranky day in school the next day, the next one he doesn't get to do.
No.
I'm just, sick of booting up a game that's been advertised as being available. Like you say, I've got to wait for the American time zone. But the fact that they announced this game as a worldwide release on the same day, because I think countries like Australia, Mexico, and a couple of others have just got the xCloud streaming today.
Yeah.
It's their day one of that, so that's fantastic. But when you've got people who are technically already on the 1st of October, it's not being released on the right day, is it?
No.
Yeah. And to them, it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. No one wants to leave the console on overnight.
No.
That's just going to cause problems.
My eldest is 12, and he's known nothing of sort of having to wait. He's apart from the maybe download Fortnite or whatever, or Destiny 2, which is 70 gig. It's just back in the day, if we wanted to download a gig, we were waiting months.
A gig. I shit you not, the first internet connection my parents got, I was lucky if I was able to email somebody.
Oh, exactly.
I'm talking not kilobytes. I'm sure the connection was bytes.
Yeah, we never had the internet at my parents' house.
If you picked up the phone, by internet.
Do you remember when we lived in Castlefield, Chris? And the only way we could get online was by taking the phone off the hook, because the lines were that old. It couldn't deal with the phone line had to be open to get a connection. And you were ringing Sky, and they were saying it was BT, and BT was saying it was Sky.
I'm going to go through this story very, very quickly before we wrap up this evening.
So just before you do that, what you've just explained there sort of reminds me of the first Matrix movie where they have to put the handset on the thing and then do the dial tone.
So we were living in a friend's house, and his internet was crap basically, and we were like, oh, let's go with Sky. We can't get Virgin, let's go with Sky. So we went with Sky, and it was fine for the first couple of days, and then we were playing World of Warcraft. So there was 3 PCs in the house, all connected to the same modem.
Ouch.
And we were playing World of Warcraft, and one day we went to go online and it just wouldn't work. So I picked up the phone to ring Sky, and I'm sure it was you, Brian, went, whatever you did, don't move. And I went, why? And he went, we've got a connection. I went, all I did was pick up the phone. And he went, right, just put it on the side. So I put just it, and it was a handset. It's not like a cordless one. It was a proper connected to a cable handset. So I take it and I put it on top of the fridge and I fucking leave it. About 3 minutes later, connection goes again. Dial tone's gone. Like, you know when you go past the dial tone and it's just gone. Yeah. Connection, gone. So I was like, get up, press the button, let go, connection comes back. We're like, why the fuck is going on?
What I always remember is when you got through to Sky, they were like doing tests on the line, like, it's all fine. And you were like, of course it's fine, because I'm on the phone. I've got the handset off the hook. That's why it's fine. But when we hang up, it's not. Trying to explain it, and this woman just couldn't get it.
No, she physically couldn't, in her head, understand that if I take the phone off the hook, and, like, to be fair, back in them days, the connection, the speed wasn't bad. Like, I think we had, 10 meg? 10 meg broadband?
I think it was about 5.
Yeah, like 5 meg broadband for 3 guys playing WoW, and one of those 3 who isn't here, and we won't discuss it, downloading something else. Like, it was a good connection. The problem was, I can only do it when the phone's off the fucking hook. I'm not going to sit there all fucking day pressing and unpressing the fucking button. Sort my fucking phone line out. It's not our problem, sir. It's BT. Ring up BT. It's not our problem. It's Sky's. One of you motherfuckers are going to come out and fix my phone line. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us this evening. I've been Chris. He has been Bryan. The disembodied voiceover here has been Pete. We have very much enjoyed making this video for you guys. We will see you all next time. Have a great evening.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.